Okay, here's Google Flight Simulator. This is a sport plane. They have other planes available, Piper Cub, some big passenger jets. This plane appears to be flying fairly steady. The Piper Cub is a pain, it just flies all over the place, crashes. This one seems to have as a default a level flight, and it's fairly well behaved plane. We're heading toward the city of Los Angeles and the San Gabriel Mountains in the background. This is a free simulator from Google. The terrain is photorealistic, which you won't find in other simulators. Not as good as this anyway. The computer-generated buildings kind of flicker on and off. Not perfect, but still not too bad. Okay, let's see if we can use the joystick. I'm going to turn right, bank right slightly so I fly above the city. Here we go. And these buildings are supposed to be true to life. I'm not familiar with downtown Los Angeles, so I couldn't say for sure. I would look for the Hotel Bonaventure, but I don't see it down here anywhere. I haven't fully learned this flight simulator and all the controls, the joystick controls, keyboard controls. I'd like to enable the what's called the hat switch on the joystick so I can look left, right, backwards, and so on. I haven't figured out how to enable that. There are other controls that let you trim your aircraft so it flies perfectly straight, perfectly level, and other things. I haven't learned those controls yet, so you can see the aircraft drifting. I don't know if it has an autopilot function like a real aircraft. Once you punch in the autopilot, it holds the plane perfectly steady on a course that you set. This flight simulator is not as sophisticated as Microsoft Flight Simulator 10. But the terrain does appear to be much better than any of the other flight simulators. It's based on Google Earth, actual photographs of the Earth. The higher you go, the better the terrain looks. As you get close to the ground, it gets kind of fuzzy, out of focus. We're trying to fly toward Mount Wilson, Pasadena. This is probably the Hollywood Hills section. I don't know if they'd have the Hollywood sign. So as you can see, we're getting up in altitude. We're about 1,000 feet or so. If we were higher, let's say at 5,000 feet, it would look very realistic. As it is now, it's pretty good, but the buildings appear to be kind of flat and the highway's kind of weird looking. Okay, I didn't see any recognizable landmark here that I'm familiar with. This is probably the freeway to Pasadena. Ahead of us would be Mount Wilson. above Pasadena. So for a free flight simulator, this works pretty good. Although it bears no resemblance to the complexity and excellence of Microsoft Flight Simulator X or 10. The newer flight simulator that replaced Microsoft 10, which is just called Flight, is unfortunately not a simulator. They turned it into a game for those who like games. That's okay, but it's lost its appeal to those who want a true flight simulator. So far as I know, Microsoft Flight Simulator 10 is the best of any flight simulator, period. There are competitors who do a pretty good job. X-Plane, I think, is one. But I'm hoping that Microsoft will improve Flight Simulator 10 and make the ground terrain like this, like Google Earth, so that it's the real thing. We can live with the weird artifacts, the flickering and flashing and stuff like that. If they could get rid of that, it'd be a little bit better, though. So for a freebie, this is quite good. We'll play with it for a while, try to get familiar with the controls, try different aircraft, and look at the train, see if we can recognize, for example, Pasadena, maybe Mount Wilson, maybe land at the Monrovia Municipal Airport. We're probably only a few minutes away from the Monrovia Airport. It's probably right ahead of us, and it more or less is oriented toward Mount Wilson and away from Mount Wilson, toward the ocean and away. The white-capped mountain in the background, far away, maybe 50 miles. Good question, what mountain that is. I think that's one of those 12,000-foot peaks. Snow-capped peak. Mount Wilson isn't that tall, maybe 5,000 feet, and it doesn't really hold snow. It's not high enough to hold snow many months out of the year. So this snow-capped peak ahead of us does. I think it's about 10 or 12,000 feet. Maybe Mount San Gorgonio. I'm not too sure. Okay, let's see if we can get lower, and I'll try to do a landing just to see if I can do it without totally crashing the plane. Maybe I'll land on a street just to see if I can do it. I think it'll let you land on a street just like in real life, unless you hit a building. Let me give it a little more juice here so I don't run out of airspeed. Yeah, there's a runway. No, I guess it wasn't a runway.